Good morning, everybody. Joe Chacho here. Happy Friday to everybody. A couple things we talked about yesterday. An agent called me and wanted me to go over just two more things about the Americo program. With Americo, they've got a program, do $35,000 of their whole life or $35,000 of their term product. You'll be able to get a 8% bonus. Now, it ends towards the end of this year, the second 6-month period, so it's going to start over again, so you can jump into it the end of December, the beginning of January. Do premium $35,000. Anything over $35,000 is not what you get paid on. That is the minimum amount that qualifies you to get the 8-point commission. So whatever your commission is now, you're going to make 8 points on top of that there. And as I said yesterday, they're doing that there instead of doing their trips. So they're giving it back to the agents in the form of money. Okay, and also the Sagicor is good through the end of the year at 15 additional points. Whatever your commission is, again, it's good for their no-lapse UL, their term, and their whole life. Everything with them is done online, get approved online within 90 seconds or 2 minutes. The same as the Americo term and the Americo Eagle. Okay, let's talk about I want to think about it. A lot of people don't understand why a client says they want to sit and think about it. And, you know, Joe, I really like everything, but I just want to kind of think about it. And my thoughts are, since I've been doing this for a long, long time, is that we get one chance to make a first impression, just one chance. And what ends up happening is that as agents, we're always in a sales mode. We'll want to make a sale. We may not have made a sale in a couple of days, so we come across sometimes a little bit harsh. We may be a little too aggressive. We may be a little too forward. So the only advice I can give you is the advice I give myself is when you're going up to a house to either knock on it or going to make an actual appointment, I want you to kind of slow down. I want you to kind of say, okay, haven't made a sale. I understand. I got to put my game face on. It's showtime. When I'm knocking at the door, I'm on a Broadway stage. You've got to understand that one chance to make a first impression, because there's a great possibility they're going to sit and tell you they want to think about it. Money can't come out of my checking account. Today's not a good day. I got to talk to my kids. Now, should you bring all that stuff up, you know, you may want to think about it. You may want to talk to your kids. Yes, but today all we're going to do is talk about just checking account, and I want to think about it. I'm going to give a couple examples on that. One chance to make a first impression, because everything you say and you do from the moment you say hello until you go through the presentation, go through the warm-up, and go through the whole process, they're judging whether they like you or not. They're getting a vibe whether you're going to be a likable person or do I want to do business with you. That's why building a rapport with that client is so important. So when you get to the end, they won't say, I want to think about it. Hopefully you've given them all the value, the reason they should buy the program, the reason they should buy it from you. You've tailor-made it to fit into their budget. All these things here, you're kind of building the foundation to a home in a slow manner. You don't want to get sloppy. You don't want to throw that cement on that block real quick and go too fast. You want to go slow. Throughout the process, you want to ask questions. You want them to understand what you're doing by asking questions. Is this what we're looking for? Am I answering the questions the way you want them answered? Did I answer it the way you wanted? You've got to kind of make them feel that they're in control, they're in charge, but yet what you're doing, you're leading them down your road because you want them to speak more with you. Now, the only way for them to trust you, you've got to come across with confidence. If you're going to be speaking with them and you're going to be doing and the ahs and well, you know, all those things there, what that does is it does not hurt you, but yet it does not help you. What I've tried to do over the years making a presentation, even with these calls sometimes, you get a lot of stuff going on upstairs, so words get crossed and you make mistakes. Stop. Take a break. When you ask my client a question, just relax. Let them think of an answer. It gives you time to rethink of what you're going to say. the way you come across, your delivery, your voice inflection, the way you say things to people. I like to sit and say that I'm here to speak with you. I don't want to say I'm here to speak to you. This is a with. This is a conversation we're going to have together. So we got to think about your voice inflection, your delivery, the words that you choose to use, your confidence level, and the trust that they have for you about building a rapport. Let's talk about checking account. The best part is that people sit and say, I don't want to use my checking account because the bank messed up on my account, and I don't want nobody in my account no more. Banks mess up, but yet 99% of the time it's the client that messes up because they either write a check that the money's not there, they pull too much money out for whatever reason. When a client tells you they don't want to have you use their checking account, you need to take a step back. In the beginning of your presentation, did you mention anything on how they're going to make the payment? What I like to do is give the client an overall scenario of what's going to take place. I'm here today based on a card you sent in. All the information is right here on the card. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to answer any questions you have. Anything you and me speak about is between us. We have the HIPAA laws that everything that you tell me, I can't tell nobody. I'm going to see if you qualify for a program. I'm going to go over a couple different ideas to see which one fits into your budget. And the best part about it is that you're 67 years old. Do you have your Social Security check direct deposited into your checking savings, or do you get like the little Direct Express card? Right when they say that there, they say, fantastic, you get a discount for that. What the company does, the insurance company does, is that once a month when your check comes in, they're going to have the bank send the payment to them, and you're going to get a 12.7% discount for that there. At that point, way in the beginning, if they don't want you to use their checking account, they don't want to do that, now's the time to address it. You don't wait till the utter end and say, oh, I need a voided check. I had an agent about 3 or 4 months ago tell me, Joe, I was on the phone with the carrier doing a three-way phone call, and I asked the client for the check, and he didn't give it to me. What do you mean you asked the client? Well, yeah, they needed a check, so when we got to that point there, I asked the client for the check, and the client says, I don't want the money coming out of my account. So now he wasted his time, the client's time, the carrier's time, and he didn't make a sale. So you need to find this stuff up front to where you can share with them the reasons why they should use a checking account. Now, these are the things that I say. I said the first thing you get a discount because the carrier has done away with that department. They saved on mail, they saved on paper, they saved on some employees. They moved those employees to a different department. And what they've done, they've lowered your premiums by approximately 12.7% nationwide. By having this here, benefits of it is you don't have to worry about your payment being sent in. You know every month on the 3rd, the 2nd, 3rd, 4th Wednesday, when you have your premiums that are due, the bank's going to send them in for you free of charge. No, I don't want nobody in my checking account. I'd rather send the check in. The companies we do business with, ma'am, we don't send checks in. The way they've designed it, discount, you send it in on the 3rd of the month when that's when your check is. The other reason why the company does that there is so in the event you're sick, you're ill, you're in the hospital, the last thing you're thinking about is your life insurance premium, your final expense program for your son Anthony and your daughter Marie. You touched a hot spot. You hit a personal spot, Anthony and Marie. This is why they do it this way here, and they don't charge you because what they do is that they don't want nothing to happen to you, but yet this is the business they're in, so they're making sure that when that day comes, your son Anthony and Marie get that $10,000 or $15,000. Another reason why they do it is because I know you've had this happen to you before, you send something in the mail and it gets lost. Okay? Number 2, the bill that the carrier is sending you could get lost in the mail, and I know that you're not like nobody else who sits and waits, oh, I can't wait till I get my bill from my insurance. When it comes in, you pay for it. If it's a bill like that there, you may forget. Now you're 2 months behind, or you're 3 months behind, and now you've lost the program. For the mere fact is that now you cannot afford to make the payments. The way the company does it, they make their premiums very affordable for everybody based on your health. From there, they charge you nothing extra. The beauty, today is the 5th. We're going to start your program next month on the 3rd. I don't need any money. By the time we do the application today, you're going to get your policy back from the carrier. You're going to look at it. You're going to review it, have everything there to know exactly what you and I spoke about is exactly the way it is. From there, next month on the 3rd, your money's going to come in at around 12 or 12:30 from Social Security. From there, then the bank already knows that you got this payment going out. They'll send that payment out once your money's come in. Modern technology. It's the new millennium. It's how we're doing things now. Based on that there, I think this is the best way to do it. Then continue talking. You want your son Anthony and your daughter Marie, you want them 50-50, is that how you want it? Try to get over that there. You need to address it in the beginning. Some people are going to tell you, no, I want to think about it, I need to sleep on it, I need to pray about it. And certain people, you just can't convince them. Even if you've done a great job, you've done all the proper things, you made a great first impression, certain people just don't want to do it. So your next case scenario where you say, well, if you want, after you've exhausted them, you've hit them a couple times in the head, well, if you want, you can pay for it quarterly, but I'm going to need to get a check from you today. The only way for me to turn this in is that I need a check today. Let's say the premium is $70 a month. I'm going to need a check today from you for about $275. I'm sorry, $225. Costs a little bit more to do it that way there. And you may want to do this the first time, but in 3 months from now, when that time comes, if you got an unexpected bill that comes up, you're not going to be able to make the quarterly payment, and now you've lost it and wasted your money. That's why I recommend you to just do the premiums. Sometimes they do it, sometimes they don't, but you got to be polite, professional, and persistent. Okay, let's go to the next one. I want to think about it. A lot of people want to think about it because it is a big decision. So when they say they want to think about it, agree with them. Say, I totally understand you want to think about it. This is a big decision. I've showed you some different programs. You kind of picked out you want the one for $15,000 for $80 a month, but you want to think about it. Yes, I don't make big rash decisions. I need to kind of think about it for a couple of days and all that there. So depends on how aggressive you want to be, how you want to handle it. Say if you want, what I've done a lot of times is that since I'm here, why don't we kind of think about it together out loud now? So any questions that may be on your mind, you can ask me, and then from there we can make a decision today because it gives you a little bit of time to think about it, verbalize it with me, and we can solve the issue. Normally it's money, okay? So there's this paper here that I've used a long, long time ago, and I came across it, and I said, well, howdy, it's kind of like the things that you learn and you know that you forget. It's kind of like a little square box here. And I've done this before, and I tell people, why don't we do something like this here? Is it all right if I ask you a question? They go, yes, I draw a box, 4 little boxes, and I put on the top left carrier, then I put the insurance company under it, then I put me, then I put down the coverage amount, and then I put the monthly amount down. I do one at a time. So I put carrier. I said, basically what you want to think about is have anything to do with the carrier, the insurance company. Did I explain to you how the program works, how you've got level premiums, how your premiums don't change, how you have immediate benefits, how you have a cash value? It's not the carrier? Okay. So you put a little check mark. So go here, I put like a little check mark over here. I don't put an X over it. I put a little check mark next to it saying we talked about it. So the second one, is it me? Is it something I didn't explain to you? Was I speaking kind of fast? Did I not explain something to where you don't understand? If you do have a question, ask me now, and I'll be happy to answer for you. No, Joe, it's got nothing to do with you, so I put another little check over there. So, okay. I said, could it be the coverage amount, the $15,000 that you're looking at? Could that maybe be A little bit too high, or do you want to talk about something a little bit higher? Could it be that coverage amount? No, the coverage amount is fine. That's fine. Now you're going to get down to the nuts and bolts, the monthly amount. Because normally money. Say, well, you're happy with the carrier, you're happy with me, you're happy with the coverage amount. Monthly, the monthly amount that you're going to be sending every month, is that within your budget? Do you feel comfortable with that there? What's normally going to happen, they're going to be like a deer in headlights. They're not going to have to answer the question. Because what they want to think about is the value of the client spending and sending that money into the insurance carrier, does that outweigh the value? Because the value has got to be there. They got to know in their heart and soul that what you're speaking to them about, the value's there for them to release that money from their pocket to send to the carrier. If you have not built the trust, the rapport, the first time hello with them, that's what makes that part the hardest, because they're saying, I don't know if I want to spend money with this guy. I don't know if I trust him. Has a lot to do with trust. So they may sit and say, well, no, it's none of those there. So I said, okay, can I ask, if it's not the insurance carrier, it's not me, it's not the $15,000, it's not the $80, just out of curiosity for me to know, what is it? They're going to give you some answer. When they want to think about it, you need to find out the reason why. So now I go into a mode where I'm there for a mission now. I'm going to say, Ms. Jones, I've been doing this now for almost 22 years, something I really enjoy doing. I said, I've got some pretty big shoulders. I got some big shoulders. If this is something you don't want, it's okay for you to say, Joe, I just don't want it. Or, Joe, it's something not for me. I have no problem with that there, okay? It's hard for people to tell you what the problem is, and it's hard for people to tell you, no, I don't want it. Now, when she says, Joe, I thought about it, and I just really don't want it anymore. I thought about it, and I don't want it. Now you have something to go on. She thought about it, and she doesn't want it, so now you're going to start all over again and say, may I ask what you thought about that has led you to make the decision that you don't want it? Be nice, be polite, and come across very soft. Remember, talked about this a couple weeks ago, building rapport with someone, you speak like them, you mimic them, you copy them. You kind of do exactly what they're doing, because that's a form of building rapport to where they're saying, this guy's just like me, I like him. When you tell somebody, listen, I've got big shoulders, just tell me the real reason. Tell me the real reason why you really don't want it. It's okay. I've got to just make a note on this paper to give to my boss, and then from there, I'm on my way. I'm going to go visit another client. Usually it's going to be, I don't have the money to do it. And when they say they don't have the money to do it, now you've got to ask yourself, did you explain to them how the program works, that you don't need any money today, you need it next month? So a lot of the problems that we have, including me, including everybody, is certain times we shortcut, we deviate, and we don't stay on a path to where we're doing everything step 1 through 10 for the client to actually understand what's going on. Normally, it's money. Normally, it's the commitment of that money every month. So if they tell you, well, I want to think about it, I'm not too sure, and say, something, this is what I'm going to recommend us to do today. You qualify for the best program. You're never going to be in this health ever again. I'll put you with my favorite company. You're going to get this, this, and this. You want the one for $15,000 for $80 a month. And I said, I agree with that one there. Yet what I'm going to agree with you to do today is to start something. Let's start the one for $10,000 for $61 a month. Let's get something in place today. When the policy is issued and everything is done, I can always come back and we can add to it next month or in 3 or 4 months when you feel more comfortable with that $80 commitment. Let's start off with this one here for $61 a month. Let's start off with this one here for $57 a month. Now what you're doing is now you've got them. You got the lasso around them, and you pull them in a little closer to you, okay? It's normally money, trust factor, checking account. I'm not sure what I want to do. Just slow down, relax, money. Let's start it this way here. We can both agree you have no type of coverage now. Something is better than nothing. Let's start this program today. Don't need any money till next month. We'll start off with $61. You get $10,000 immediate benefits. Down the road, if you want to increase it, I got no problem with that. But yet my job when you sent this card in was to help you get coverage, to help you qualify for it, and you did qualify for it. Okay? They say, no, I don't want to do the 1%. No, I don't want to do it. What do you got to lose by saying, I understand? This is what I'm going to do here. The $15,000 is what you want, but you probably don't feel comfortable making that commitment. Is that right? And they're usually going to tell you yes. When you say the 61, and they say, well, I really don't want to do it, say, why don't we do this here? Let me show you one for, here's the 10. Let me show you one for 9, 8, and 7. You write it down, turn it around, because it's below your $50 range that we always want to keep our premiums over $50. So you got one now for $39, $43, and $50. And then you say, which one of these do you want to start today? Put the pen right here next to it, and hopefully they'll sit and say, oh, I didn't know there was one for $39 a month. Well, they didn't know because you didn't show it to them. But now you're being pushed back. So now what you're going to do, you're going to come down, lower your premium amount to where you walk out of the house with something. Go slow. The game does not start until the client says, I want to think about it or no. Because when you go into a house, they say, oh, Tom, I want to buy something. I've been looking for something. $60 a month? Yep, I'll take it. Everybody knows we call those laydowns. But yet our game does not start. Our abilities, our knowledge, our creativity does not start. Our knowledge on rebuttals, the comebacks does not start until the client says, no, I want to think about it. Not today. I got to do this. I got to do that there. That's why when you're in a home and they sit and tell you, I need to think about it, don't leave. You're actually in front of a live person. Now it's time to practice in front of them, because when you start practicing with them and you're watching their body language, you're feeling how you're coming across, it's going to make it easier for you the next time and the next time. And believe it or not, when you sit there a little bit with somebody and you show concern, come down the premiums, you make sales. I'd rather have a sale for $80 a month than one for $60 than one for $39. But in the whole scheme of things, something is better than nothing for the client and for us as well. Okay. Does anybody have anything they like to add or to say about what they do when somebody does not want to let them use their checking account, or somebody says, I want to think about it? Does anybody want to do a *2 and raise your hand and just to say a couple things? Who is Jay? Mr. Macri, you're on the air, sir. Good morning.
Good morning, Joe. I just wanted to say one of the things I do, like you said earlier in the call, I qualify the checking account situation at the beginning of the presentation, and I usually, like your line that you trained us on, is about the discount, of course. But one thing I say to the people at the beginning, I'll say, 90% of my clients are on Social Security, and you remember back in the day, that'll be my line that I'll use, you remember back in the day, they used to send the checks in the mail, but obviously those days are over. That unfortunately doesn't happen anymore. They just directly put it into your bank account or your card, your Direct Express card. And I said, and then I just say, so which one do you have? And then they'll tell me. They'll say, nobody ever gives me a hard time, hardly, and they'll say checking account, or I have a Direct Express card. And I said, wonderful. So what these programs do, and it makes sense to them, is logically because they get paid direct deposit, I just say, well, that's how the payment's made, because you're getting paid that way. And I'll tell you, like 80 to 90% of the time, they don't give me a hard time on that. And then the other response, if they give me a hard time, is the one you used earlier about if you get sick in the hospital. I use that. But the main thing is, I say most of my clients are on Social Security. I say 90% of my clients are on Social Security. And back in the day, they used to send checks, but they don't do that no more. Everything's direct deposit now. So because you get paid that way, that's why a lot of these companies that I have mostly are people who are on Social Security, and then right away it's right there. And once in a blue moon, I'll get somebody that'll say no, but like I said, 90% of the time I don't get any resistance, and they'll tell me if they have a check-in or a lot of times I don't even have to ask. They'll just say I have a checking account, or I use Direct Express, or I use NetSpend or whatever. But right away they'll come out and tell me. A lot of times I don't even have to ask them the question, Joe.
Jim, when you're in the house and you're visiting with them, you kind of pre-qualify them up front to see if they have a checking account or savings account or bank card. And the reason you do that is because you don't want to wait till the end after a full presentation. Is that the reason why you do it up front?
Yes, because that's happened to me in the past. I learned. Trust me, I've given full presentations and gotten my heart broke. Trust me. So, I learned the hard way. So that's, we all got to learn, and I learned, and that's exactly so I don't have to go through the whole presentation and do that. And like, here's an example about trying to handle something the right way. I wrote a policy on Monday. I replaced Prime America, and they showed me 10,000 she was a rider. Well, I get a call last night, and basically and here's the strategy I'm taking, because I'm going back on the 15th for the med subs with Transamerica, because they're both very healthy, and it's $50 less than they're spending with the Colonial Bankers. So how I handled it was this. He calls back last night and says, we're going to cancel the life insurance, but we're definitely going to get the med sup off you. We're going to stick with the Prime America. So I just listened, and she said it's because it's more insurance than we thought. It's $20,000, and it's more than we thought. And I said, you're still just a rider, right? She goes, yep. And I just said, okay. I just listened to her, and I said, look, and there was no talking to her about her husband's. So because her husband has 5 with Baltimore Life, so I said, this is what we'll do. I told her last night, I'll call America, I'll take care of his. Of course, I didn't get paid on his yet because they were still underwriting it. But on her, I got paid. So I just said, here's what I'll do for you. Don't cancel it right now. Will you think about it a few days, because you don't have any policy in your own name? She goes, I'll think about it a few days. So I called back this morning and said, I just want to let you know, Melvin, I took care of you with America. I canceled your policy this morning. And also on Selena, when I come back on the 15th, just tell her to hold on to it till the 15th. The money's not coming out till the 21st. I promise you, nothing will come out of the account. And I'll either, and I made like it wasn't a big deal. I just said, I'll just cancel it, or we can lower it to $5,000 for $31 a month instead of $60, or we can keep it at the $10,000. And you remember the free discounts that she was very crazy about the other day. Even if we lower it to $5,000, she'll still have them. And when I take care of the Medicare supplement policies, I'll also take care of that for you. And if you change your mind, when I come back on the 15th, you can get the Americo back, even though I canceled it today. So I have a plan. But I came off non-threatening, and he thanked me. I don't know what's going to happen on the life part, but he thanked me and really appreciated it. So we'll see what happens when I go back on the 15th.
Well, what you did was that you did as he requested. You told him that you can come when you come back on the 15th. If he wants it, he can still get it. So what you've done is that you've made him happy. You let him know what could happen, and you've made yourself not threatening to him, because then when people feel you're putting too much pressure, you shouldn't cancel, you got to have it. What they do, they start getting nervous, because now you're coming across with what we call mission breath. And that's what happens a lot of times, is that we become too aggressive, and that makes people nervous. So I think
there's certain people, there's nothing we can do about it. Sometimes there's certain people, they want their cake and they want to eat it too with the term. Like, in other words, I even said to her last night, if you keep this a couple more years, I just said politely, Selena, the rates are going to go astronomical. But, yeah, the next couple of years, the agent told me it doesn't go up much, and I'd rather have the more coverage, even though I'm only a rider. And then I just said, okay, no problem, and that's how I decided strategically to handle it. Since I got to go back for the other thing on the 15th, I figured I'm going to try to make a run and try to save it then. But sometimes you get people, they don't want to hear it, nothing you can do. I mean, because they said they don't want to spend the money for the whole life, but I always tell people, too, a lot of times, and I talk them into it, and they keep the policy. is you get what you pay for. You've heard the saying. I say you've heard the saying, you get what you pay for. And I say, listen, they're a terrific company, the term company. They're a wonderful company. They're very reputable. In fact, young people, when they buy mortgage protection insurance, it's fantastic to buy a policy like that. And I said, I always say good things like that about the company, and it's good that way. But it just doesn't have the fit for. It doesn't have the fit for you, is what I say in a nice way. So that's how I try to usually say stuff like that, even when I'm giving a response. When they say they have term for, why is it costing me this much for 25, but you're going to charge me this much for 15? That's the kind of response I usually give there.
Well, it's kind of hard because what happens at a term, we all know, is kind of like a stripped-down Chevrolet. There's no cash value. There's nothing in it. You definitely get a whole lot better value for your dollars. But, you kind of tell people, listen, this is a policy that you're just renting right now. It's called a term. It's for a period of time. And that's what ends up happening. Your premiums are going to go up. And what we have here is something called a permanent policy that's locked in, so you know exactly what your payments are going to be this month, next year. And ours builds a cash value, so if you come across hard times, you can borrow the money from the cash value, keep your policy in force, whereas the term, that's not a value that's there. And I don't think you're planning on dying in the next 5 or 10 years. It's going to keep going up, and then when you need it the most, you're not going to be able to afford it. Then you're going to call me back, and the premium is going to be even higher, and then I'm going to have you cry on my shoulder. So it's kind of hard to convince certain people. So, hey, Daddy-O, I appreciate the conversation. Thank you very much.
You got it.
Okay, bye-bye. Okay, who else, Jay? David, you're on the air. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I can. You're coming louder.
Okay, good. So a technique I learned a long time ago that was taught to me about when somebody stalls and they want to think about it, and you've tried to flesh out what the issue is and you're still not getting anywhere, is I usually ask them, well, let me ask you this, just so I understand what's going on. 1 out of 10, you're definitely going to go ahead. You love this. You're committed to it. You just need to sit on it for a while. 1, you hate it. You're just not going to do it. Can you share with me where you are? And that way it takes a lot of the mystery out of it. If they tell you they're an 8, 9, or 10, it's a little easier to push and figure out a way to get them to pull the trigger. If they come back as a 2, 3, 4, or 5, you're probably wasting your time and just get out of there. And I've found that works pretty well. And, particularly if they're a 7, 8, 9, I start talking about the fact that, you want to do this. It's really going to feel good to have this done, know your plans are in place, and just try to get them to associate with the feeling of, that it's going to feel good when it's all done, in place, it's done, they can cross it off their list, they know they've protected their family, et cetera. So I found that works real well.
No, that is very so. This is going to make you feel good. It's something you know you need. And the best part about it is it's done, it's over with. You don't have to worry about it no more. You put it in the top left-hand drawer, and you tell Anthony and Marie it's over there. Because what happens a lot of times, people procrastinate because they're afraid to make the commitment, either that they may find something better, but they're just not sure if it's something that they should do. And I make them feel better, which is going to make you feel better. I like that one there. Good.
But the main point I was making, though, is the 1 out of 10 really, kind of shines a light. Because you can't always read what's, some people are not very emotive, and they're not going to tell you. You can't really read them. But if you ask them, it gives you a sense of, hey, are they pretty likely to do this, or are they, am I wasting my time? And then, if, like I say, they're 7, 8, 9, 10, then you can push pretty hard and try to get them over the goal.
I'll tell you one thing that when I was there, people want to think about it. I tell people, I said, something? There's usually a couple reasons that people want to think about it. And you hear, could it be the money, or is it the face amount? But what I've told people before, so let me ask you a question. Is this something you cannot afford, or is this something you do not want to afford? And they look at you, and I said, no, is this something you cannot afford, what we're looking at, or is it something you don't want to afford? And no matter what answer they give you, you're going to lower their premiums because, again, 9 out of 10 times, and let me know if you agree, you've been in sales for a long, long time. Do people normally want to think about it, David, because of the mere fact of just the monthly commitment or the premiums?
They're just reluctant to spend the money.
Yes. it's hard, man. You know, people work hard for their money, and we've got to show them and kind of prove to them that what we're here to share with them is definitely worth the value, and they should spend the money. And there's certain people you can't even hit them in the head, and they're still not going to do it.
Right.
Okay, Daddy-O. Thank you very much. Okay, Jay, anybody else? Okay, thank you, David. Okay, I'll let everybody go. Everybody have a great weekend. Jim, thank you very much. David, thank you very much for raising your hand and talking. Okay, guys, have a great weekend. You got any questions, call us. Make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.